Let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going on a ride. We're tracing the epic hero's journey of a single breath of air as it travels through your body's highly integrated systems. We're mapping out this incredible, invisible voyage that happens inside you every single minute, literally turning thin air into the energy that powers your life.
Think about it. You take something like 20,000 breaths every single day, completely on autopilot. But have you ever paused to consider where exactly a single breath goes once it passes your lips? Today, we're tracking just one of those breaths, watching as oxygen enters your body, catches a ride on your bloodstream, and interacts with the fascinating organs that keep you alive and thriving.
Part 1. The intake. The lungs. Our journey naturally starts right in the chest. When you inhale, air rushes down your windpipe and right into your two lungs. And here's a fascinating little detail. Your right lung actually has 3 sections, but your left lung only has 2. Why? Just to make room for your heart. Together, these powerhouses process an astonishing 2,000 gallons of air every day, funneling it deep inside until it hits its first major transfer station.
Welcome to the alveoli. Imagine millions of tiny grape-like clusters with incredibly thin walls. This is the exact microscopic threshold where the oxygen from your breath crosses over and boards the bloodstream, while carbon dioxide is quickly swapped out to be exhaled. Now our oxygen is in the transport system and it is ready to move.
Number 2. The engine, the heart. To get anywhere, that freshly oxygenated blood needs a powerful pump. There's a really stark contrast between the two sides of this fist-sized pump. The right side is essentially the return system, receiving oxygen-poor blood and pumping it to the lungs. But our oxygen molecule, it's entering the left side. It receives that rich payload from the lungs and just blasts it out to the rest of the body.
The sheer kinetic energy happening here is staggering. Your tireless heart beats roughly 100,000 times a day to push blood through 60,000 meters of blood vessels. Over an average lifetime, that's more than 2.5 billion beats without taking a single break. And our oxygen molecule is currently riding that powerful wave, zooming right through your arteries.
Part 3. Mission control. The brain. A lot of our newly oxygenated blood travels upward, answering the call of its absolute most demanding customer.
That customer is your brain. Weighing just about 3 pounds, this wrinkled pink organ uses that fresh oxygen to power roughly 86 billion constantly firing neurons. It's processing everything you see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. It never sleeps, constantly monitoring your body's functions even when you're completely out cold.
Now, despite being only about 2% of your body weight, the brain greedily hoovers up 20% of your body's energy. It needs a massive, continuous supply of oxygen to process every thought, memory, and movement. Honestly, if you're learning from this explainer right now, your brain is actively burning through the very oxygen we just traced.
Number 4. The filters, cleaning the supply. As our oxygen molecule rides the bloodstream back down, the fluid carrying it has to be continuously cleaned so the whole system doesn't break down.
Enter the liver, your body's ultimate chemical factory and detox center. It actively uses our traveling oxygen to fuel over 500 different functions, from filtering out toxins to manufacturing blood-clotting proteins. And this is truly mind-blowing. Fueled by that oxygen, it can completely regenerate itself. If you lose up to 75% of your liver, the remaining 25% can grow back to full size. It's a wildly important maintenance stop for our blood supply. Working right alongside the liver are a few other incredible filters kept running by our oxygen. You have 2 bean-shaped kidneys that receive about 20% of the blood your heart pumps, filtering 200 quarts daily to carefully balance your chemistry. Meanwhile, tucked behind your stomach is the fist-sized purple spleen, acting as a recycling center for old red blood cells and an emergency reservoir.
Part 5. The fuel, digestive organs. Oxygen alone isn't going to cut it. To keep you moving, our traveling oxygen needs a partner to properly power your cells, and that partner is nutrients.
First, food hits the stomach, a muscular bag, churning it up with acid, so strong it could literally dissolve metal. But the real magic happens in the intestines, which have vastly different jobs. The small intestine is a massive 20 feet long and handles the heavy lifting of nutrient absorption. The large intestine is shorter, about 5 feet, but houses trillions of beneficial bacteria to break down the remaining nutrients and absorb water.
Zooming in on the small intestine reveals exactly how this ties back to our journey. The inner surface is covered with villi,
Millions of these tiny, finger-like projections that dramatically increase the surface area. About 90% of nutrient absorption happens right here, injecting fuel directly into the exact same bloodstream carrying our oxygen. Oxygen and nutrients are now traveling as partners. We also can't forget the hidden fueling station supporting this whole process. The pancreas supplies essential digestive enzymes while producing insulin to make sure your blood sugar stays perfectly stable. Right nearby, the pear-shaped gallbladder stores and releases bile, which acts kind of like a detergent to break down fats. Together, they make sure the fuel entering your bloodstream is perfectly refined.
Part 6. The Great Integrated System. We followed our breath of oxygen from the outside air, down through the lungs, pumped by the heart to the brain, and past the incredible filters and fuel stations of the abdomen. Overseeing how fast we actually burn this combination of oxygen and fuel is the tiny butterfly-shaped thyroid gland at the base of your neck. Even though it weighs less than an ounce, it regulates your entire metabolism. And wrapping up this whole operation is your body's shield, the skin. That's about 20 square feet of waterproof barrier protecting the entire integrated system, constantly renewing itself by shedding 30,000 dead cells every single minute. The true magic of the human body isn't just what each organ does on its own, but how they endlessly communicate through hormones and nerve signals. From the brain coordinating everything, to the heart pumping, to the liver cleaning, they work together as a perfectly balanced, integrated system, utilizing every single breath to keep you alive.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you with this. The next time you passively inhale, just visualize that rush of air. Think about the alveoli, the heart pumping 100,000 times a day, the brain firing its billions of neurons, and the precise machinery keeping you fueled. Next time you take a breath, can you feel the journey? Keep learning,